secret session week. I decided not to do it because of where the market is. So we're going to kind of have a free secret session. So I hope you guys are paying attention. The heck was that? So I'm basically gonna the secret session that I was going to do this week. I'm kind of just doing it kind of for free. We're gonna do it today. I might be mentioned a little bit, throughout the week, but this is another major week for the video. All right, so I think we're live. So I'm gonna give you guys some heads up of what's happening this week. Well, I'm gonna do this in a proper order. Let me make sure that everything's right. Let's see here. All right, so first off, let's talk about the correction. All right, I'm live on this. Let me make sure. All right, so I did tell you guys that we're kind of waiting to see if the correction is done. Right, everybody's saying that we've gone through, we're in the correction, we've gone through the correction. But as I said, it's not a complete correction. And like I said, I don't know the real number because maybe the Dow Jones going down to that 40,800, maybe that was enough. Maybe 9.9 is close enough to 10%. You know what I'm saying? 9.8, maybe that's close enough to a 10% correction. And we also don't know if those 30 companies that are in the Dow, did they get their individual correction, in the S&P 500 or in the NASDAQ? But for my comfortability, I would like to see the Dow kind of get their correction as well. But I did say that, we'll see how this week plays out because we're kind of going through a recovery, but I don't think this is done because I said that the tariffs and the economic the economic events, the quarterly earnings, that's all going to be a causal sequence of what happened over the last 30 days with all the tariff war. So believe me, we're not done with this yet. We got some aftershocks that are coming. And those aftershocks are going to be bearish. And that's going to send the markets bearish again. So we're just kind of trying to play this by ear to see what days are going to be bullish and what days are going to be bearish. I still think that we're in a bearish trend, but what we're looking for is to see a real recovery. Not one day, not 2 days, because that's kind of what they're kind of try to narrate this as, oh, the markets are recovering. No, they're not. Do not believe that. Now, are the markets going to go down enough to give us the correction in the Dow Jones? I think it is, but we're just going to kind of watch the markets. And I believe that with what we're going to discuss right now with NVIDIA, I think that's going to help the markets kind of recover, at least for the rest of this week. But believe me when I tell you this, the markets are not done falling. This is just a reprieve. All right. Plus, I don't think that recovery is an overnight thing. I think it's a sporadic thing that kind of gains traction, right? It kind of gains momentum. So you're going to see, try to explain this correct. You're going to kind of see the markets will give you 2-day bull and then it'll fall back down. And then it'll give you 3 days bull and it'll fall back down. And it'll give you a week bull and it'll fall back down. I think that's how it's going to build. It's not just going to be this shoot go back up. And the reason why I say that, which I'm going to show you some of the articles, some of the information that we have to kind of show you that it's slowly building confidence. We showed you an article yesterday that everybody's weary, and people still have that April 2nd deadline for the tariff war. So believe me, people are very cautious in the markets right now. So it's going to be a slow build to kind of prove to everybody that the markets are gonna produce again. So it's going to be a slow build, but we're still going to see that downward trend and then a slow build back into a bull rally, a bull cycle. I'm sorry, a bull rally, a bull trend, or a bull cycle. But it's not going to happen overnight. So with that said, um, let's go ahead and get into what should be driving the markets for the rest of this week. All right, this is Nvidia, and we can clearly see a consolidation. All right, let me go ahead and put my mouse over here. This was the 13th. So this is literally like a whole week.
Are
Market
you on the?
shot back up. I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
you
Yeah,
can't see
you
it,
on?
can you? Thank you,
No.
guys. So this was the markets. This increase right here is around the 13th. I think it was last Monday. Let me look at the date on that. 13th was no Thursday, last Thursday. And we can kind of see the market kind of consolidated after that. Everybody knew what was coming this week. Let me show you the article for this. Uh, all this week they have Nvidia's GTC conference. This is where Nvidia kind of introduces their all of their exclusive stuff. So we had the consumer conference last month where a lot of tech was introduced. You know, everybody was introducing tech on the last convention last month. This one is exclusively for Nvidia, and there are some new features, there are some new products, there are some new technologies coming out. Right, I'm going to go over this. If I don't get to everything today, like I said, I'll continue to talk about it throughout the week. And then here's something else that we know always happens: the markets will always fall before any major announcement. And like I said, we can go back and look at it. You can see, let me kind of zoom into this. You can see the markets fall because something's going to happen today. What the conference is all today, tomorrow, and today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All this week we have the conference. They know that there's a lot of announcements coming out, a lot of new technology. And now let me tell you this. Because I was cautious. Like, should I do the secret session? Is the market strong enough? And I'm gonna tell you this. And I just found the article this morning. If I had found this article earlier, I would have done a secret session. But I wasn't confident. You guys already know if I can't guarantee the trade, I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to show you the article that kind of put everything in perspective. Let's see if I can find it. It's here somewhere. All right, here it is. Markets are hoping NVIDIA's big AI event this week will be a badly needed positive catalyst for the stocks. What did I tell you earlier this week? What did I tell you on Monday? I said the markets are looking for something. They're looking for some kind of event that they can rally behind to get the markets positive, to gain the confidence from all of the traders and investors. So they're hoping. And if everybody is hoping that Nvidia is going to be that catalyst, then you know everybody is watching this like a hawk. And then what else did I tell you yesterday? I said they're going to spin everything to be positive to get everybody back into the markets. So this is how we know that this Nvidia trade is going to be huge. I don't care what comes out. If it's any remotely positive, people are going to buy Nvidia, and then because of Nvidia is the foundation of tech, they're the foundation of most infrastructures. Everybody is going to start buying up everything. Now, as I said, all Trump has to do is come in and kind of take our focus away from the real value, and we're back into the situation that we are. But I showed you an article yesterday that people are ignoring Trump. They're tired of Trump. They're trying to get back to business as usual. But I like I said, we're playing this by ear. Nvidia is going to give us a little bit of a injection, a little bit of a rise. But like I said, at any moment the markets can fall back down. So this is the reason why Nvidia, this event and all of their announcements are so important. So now let's go over a few things. You're going to see the markets rally when Jensen does his keynote. If you guys know how he does in his little black leather jacket, he gets on stage and he introduces anything new. So I've already explained to some of my students on the last secret session a lot of the new things that are coming out. He has data centers that he's putting in Southeast Asia. He's building an entire infrastructure in Singapore, Taiwan, Philippines, and India. So he probably will be announcing all of that. He's got new products and technology. Let me bring this up. Like I said, NVIDIA is expected to unveil something new. They have something called Blackwell Ultra that's going to be coming out later this year. So Blackwell Ultra later this year. So we can look forward to that as well. But that's how it works, right? They announce the technology, and then they will give another date of when the release is going to be. So they're basically saying that they're currently announcing the Blackwell Ultra at this event, but they're going to give us a later release date later this year. Probably around the same time that Apple does their event. Because NVIDIA is now in competition with Apple and Microsoft and everybody else. So I just know, once again, competition. He's probably going to release that Blackwell Ultra around the same time that Apple has their tech conference. Don't quote me on it, but it just makes the most sense. So we can probably look for that Blackwell Ultra release somewhere around that September-ish. But there are several other things that that NVIDIA is going to be releasing. I'm going to try to find the link to the actual event on YouTube, and I'm going to be posting that. I'm probably only going to give it to those that took the secret session last month, because I did promise you guys a rebroadcast. I'm not doing the rebroadcast. So if I can find that link, I did that for you guys last time, right? I posted you guys the link to that conference. So I'll do the same thing for, I think 4 people took that secret session. When I find that YouTube link, I'll give it to all 4 of you. If you took the secret session last month. Was it last month, 3 weeks ago? So yeah, we want to figure out all the things that NVIDIA is releasing. And you guys can do your own research to kind of figure out. They probably have it all in these articles. But pay attention to that keynote, because after that keynote is delivered, the markets are going to go up. I already showed you the articles. People are looking for anything to give the markets a reason to recover, even though it's probably not going to stay up. But for the time being, this is probably going to be it. They just released GPUs earlier this week. I'm sorry, earlier this year. They released those back in January. And then they have another set that they just released 2 weeks ago. They're already saying that they have another flagship series. Like Nvidia does not stop. And I think that's what the Blackwell Ultra is. They're coming out with a whole, because keep in mind, they have two sets. They have the low end sets for like the public. And some of you may not know that Nvidia has their own laptops that are coming out. So like this is all the stuff that I told everybody about a month ago. They're literally getting into retail. They're getting into consumer products. And I'll even give you that much, that Nvidia is probably going to come out with a product in competition with every other Mag 7. Go through every single Mag 7. Tesla has cars. Nvidia has already have multiple partnerships with car companies where they're teaching those driverless cars, or they're teaching those electric cars. They're putting AI into the vehicles, and Nvidia's infrastructure is programming. So Nvidia has several contracts with car companies. What's something else? Well, we know they have the AI and the robotics. Nvidia has multiple contracts with companies with their programming the robots and the AI. Here's the thing. I think at some point, some of that stuff is going to come in-house. And the laptops is a perfect example. They're releasing laptops, I believe sometime this month. And those laptops are for gaming. They're for the consumer. They're not doing corporate. They already got corporate locked in. So the next wave of NVIDIA products is for the consumer. They already have data centers for the corporations, where they're now going to start doing cloud technology for the end user. The same way that Google has theirs, AWS, Amazon has theirs, Google Cloud. They're now coming up with a consumer version. NVIDIA is going consumer on every product, and they're targeting every single one of the Mag 7. Every product that they have, they're gonna create one in-house. And think about it, it makes the most sense, because if they're programming other people's technology, other people's infrastructure, other people's products, why would they not create their own? This is why I said last month that NVIDIA is the most powerful corporation on the stock market. They're not only continuing to diversify, which I did predict last year. I said if they're going to survive in the Mag 7, they're going to have to diversify. Not only have they done that on a corporate level, now they're coming into the next year, and now they're diversifying on a consumer level, directly competing with every single one of the Mag 7. Even Broadcom. I see NVIDIA getting into fiber optics, getting into internet. Just wait for it. And these are the things that's going to drive NVIDIA above the 3 trillion. They got to 3 trillion just with chips. So what do you think is going to happen when they are diversifying into other revenue streams, other industries, other sectors? All that value is going to add up well above the 3 trillion. And this is another reason why they're going to pull away from everyone else, because most of the Mag 7 do not have unique products. They're just offering the same thing over and over again. They're repackaging what they already have. They're partnering with other companies to come up with something that looks like it's theirs when it's really not. NVIDIA is the only one that has a unique offering that nobody else has. So they're diversifying into consumer based products is what's going to elevate them above everyone else. And they're now in direct competition with the rest of the Mag 7. And we know how competition works. You have 100% of market share. If NVIDIA is taking market share from another corporation, their quarterly earnings are not going to be the same. So as NVIDIA is rising up, their competition is going down. So I'm pretty sure at this tech conference, Huang is going to announce some of these consumer-based products, some new product lines, things that he's offering to other corporations, other consumers, and what he's building for himself. If you guys have any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments, or you can unmute. But these are the kind of things that's going to not just drive up NVIDIA, but if everybody's using NVIDIA as the catalyst, this is going to drive up the markets as well.
Yeah. Now, on the market movement, do you usually have a downturn during what tax period anyway, like mid-April, April 15th?
Say it again. My volume's down.
Oh, I said, isn't there usually a downturn right leading into tax day, like April 15th on the market? Is that like a potential point that they may take advantage of?
Give me a second. Um, it's not you, it's me. Give me a
Okay.
second. All right. Say it one more time.
Now, I was saying that doesn't tax day, like April 15th, one of those days that the market kind of downturns? Is that some period that they may take advantage of, to kind of get that push down direction?
I've I've never noticed that the markets go down April 15th. I know it's tax day. Is that the
Yeah,
reason why? I've never
yeah,
noticed that.
yeah. People sell their stuff so they can pay, their taxes, take profits and stuff like that. Yeah, I've noticed that over the years as a marker. Even yeah, it's been kind of known. You kind of watch it, and people sell, they pay their taxes, and then they get back in the markets after. Yeah, it was something I noticed. But yep,
I
I'll
will
just
be watching that. I never noticed that. And I used to do taxes and I never noticed the market's downturn. I
mm-hmm.
never really pay attention to it.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I don't have an answer. I have no idea. Um, all right, so here's something else. Um, did you guys know? Okay, so let's go back. Late last year, Tesla had the We Tesla event. What was it called? We Robot. The We Robot event. So do you guys remember that they had robots as bartenders? They had robots interacting with everybody at the party at the event.
Yep.
So come to find out, all of those robots were being controlled by humans. And you guys have seen this. I've shown you the videos where the humans have all the gear on, where they're kind of training the robots to move like them. And well, during the event, all these robots were being controlled by humans at another place in another building. They weren't autonomous. Elon Musk scammed everybody.
Pull the fast.
Are you kidding me?
Guess we won't be getting iRobot type robots anytime soon. Huh?
Yep, there were humans. Now we don't know how far the control was because he might have been using Grok to communicate with people. But like I said, the robots pouring the drinks and the walking around, all of that was humans. All of the movements was human. So I don't know if they were talking to the robots. Were they talking to the human? Was the human, speaking for the robot? I don't know if they goes that far. But they were like all of the robot movements was coming from humans. Oh my goodness. When I saw this, I'm like, that makes sense. This was just something I found as I was looking around. I'm like, what the heck? And you wonder why Tesla stock is going down. All right, let me see where we are. Did I forget anything? Did I forget anything?
I think as the days go along, we're getting closer and closer to your prediction that the board at Tesla is going to ask Elon to step aside.
That's what I want to talk about. So that's what I want to talk about. And it was something else. All right, check this out. So I saw somebody, on TikTok giving their version that, oh, Elon's gonna go bankrupt and Tesla's gonna go bankrupt. And I'm just listening. I'm like, you know what? So what I'm gonna start doing, which I used to do this, and I don't do it anymore, is I find videos, and it does work. Like, because people love telling people you don't know what you're talking about. I've been getting it for 2+ years. Um, so what I used to do was I used to stitch people's videos. I'm gonna go back to doing that. So if I see people giving commentary on the stock market and predictions that are just not right, I'm gonna stitch it and give the real information. But the guy had a good idea, like he was partially right. So I came and looked up the information. I wanted to make sure that if I was to stitch the video to give the real information, I want to make sure that I'm right. So here's an article that I found, because basically what he said was, um, that Elon Musk, and a lot of people are saying this, that Elon Musk um, bought Twitter on loans from Tesla. That is not correct. And I knew it wasn't correct. So I had to come and find the article. So this article breaks down in detail. It breaks down in detail um how the funding was put together. And they go through every section. They go through his own money, investment funds, loans, they go through everything, right? So let me show you this. How did he raise the 44 billion? First off, it says right here, originally he did want to kind of do loans on his own on his shares. But when he couldn't do it, ultimately Musk abandoned the loan idea and put up more funding in cash. He sold his shares, and I knew that was the case. He sold off a percentage of his shares, because I think originally, and I told you guys this, which I can go back and kind of remind everybody. He originally had about 30%. But last year, I showed you where they approved, because he went like 2 or 3 years without a paycheck, without a salary, and they just opened up his salary earlier last year. The courts approved, and he got a salary, and with the salary he got some of his shares, and he requested. He says, if I'm going to stay as the CEO, I need more shares. I shared this with you several times last year. And the reason why he wanted more shares is because he sold a portion of the shares that he had, in order to get the money. So it says he ultimately abandoned, and 51-year-old ended up selling about 15 billion worth of Tesla shares in two waves, once in April and once in August. So he sold the shares. He did not put them up for collateral. But everyone's telling you, oh, when Tesla stock going down, they're going to come and they're going to call due his loans. And I'm not saying that's not correct, but you got to put it in the right area. It's not based on him putting the shares up to buy Twitter. No, he sold his shares to get the capital. So now, where are the loans coming in? So now we come down to the investment funds, people that just kind of gave him money to be a part of the shareholders. So they kind of bought their shares of, I know it's private, but they basically bought part ownership of X. So Larry Ellison and a bunch, and Qatar, which is a sovereign wealth fund for Qatar, they kind of put up their money to be shareholders. And I believe that Prince Talal bin Talal, he owned Twitter shares, and he basically but he transferred Musk his 35 million shares of what he already owned in Twitter. And then once again, he gave him money, that kind of thing. But when you get to the loans, this is where we got to qualify when the loans are going to come due. It's not coming due based on Tesla. I want to separate the two. So even though Tesla stock falls, people are not going to call due the loans because Tesla stock value is going down, because they did not loan Elon Musk the money based on Tesla shares. Let me say it for you again. Nobody is coming for Tesla. I'm sorry, no one's coming for the loans because of Tesla shares falling. Elon Musk did not put up his Tesla shares to get a loan. Now, pause. And this is what Damien was just saying, that I predicted that that's still not going to happen because they're going to ask him to resign. They're never going to let the Tesla go into bankruptcy. They're never going to let Tesla fall that far down. Get rid of Elon Musk. And keep in mind, guys, if he's not willing to resign, he doesn't have enough votes. That's the reason why he wanted more shares. He doesn't have the votes. They can just vote him out. Believe me, if it gets bad enough, if he's not willing to resign, they will vote him out. So that's the first thing. Tesla is not going to allow Tesla to go down to zero, to go into any level of bankruptcy. But they're going to try to do it amicably, to where it's not like a corporate takeover or something like that. Because we saw kind of what happened with OpenAI when they kind of went through that. So they're going to try to do it the right way. But like I said, that's a separate thing, that Tesla shareholders are not going to let Tesla shares fall down low. So that's a little side point. Now, let's get back on, what are these loans? So let's look at this. He bought Twitter for 44. So he had about 40 billion, between his own money and between the investment funds. He had about 30 billion. He already had about $31 billion locked in. The other 13 came from loans from Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Mitsubishi Financial Group, Mizuho, Barclays, and then Societe Generale, and then BNP Paribas. So about $13 billion came from all of these banks. Once again, none of the loans was based on Tesla shares. They were based on something else. It might have been SpaceX. It might have been something else. Because the thing that nobody realizes is Elon Musk does not own Tesla. He only owns about 12% of it. So he doesn't have the authority to put, all of the Tesla shares up for a loan. And he's not going to put up the 12% that he has. He tried that. Let's go back and look at it again. He tried to do that. He tried to get a loan on his Tesla shares that nobody would do it. Nobody would back the shares. He only wanted to contribute 15 billion. He tried to use the loans or the shares for the loans. That didn't work. But ultimately he had to sell the shares in order to get the rest of the capital, and then he was still short about 30 billion. So I don't know what he promised those banks. There's about 8 of them. But it was not Tesla stock. He offered them something else. Like I said, a SpaceX, boring. He has an investment company called X Capital or something like that. X Corp or whatever it is. So he has other assets that he could have put up for loan. And those assets belong to him. He owns SpaceX. He owns Boring. He owns Neuralink. So he can put those up. And that's probably what he put up for the collateral. Once again, last time, he did not put up Tesla shares. He doesn't have the power to do it. And like I said, he tried to, and nobody would accept it. So let me qualify. Let me qualify. If the Tesla shares go down, it's still going to work out the same way. I just got to show you the right way on how it's going to work out. It's not going to work out because Tesla shares are falling. No, he still is backing, like the SpaceX is backed by certain other loans. The Boring Company is backed by other loans. They're all intertwined based on his collateral of him being the richest man in the world. So he's using, and I'm gonna give you the equivalent of it. The equivalent of what he's doing is what Trump did. Every single Trump property, every single Trump hotel and casino was mortgaged. He was using this property as collateral for this property, and this property is collateral for this one. So Elon Musk is doing the same thing. So on paper, it looks like he's the richest man in the world. He's got 7 different, companies, but they're all backed by each other. So if he starts losing his net worth, believe me, his net worth, because this man could just go to a financial institution and say, "I'm the richest man in the world. Give me a loan." No questions asked. Give it to him. They don't even need collateral. Just on his word as being the richest man in the world. No problem, dude. We got you. But when people start to see him losing his value, he's gonna get a whole lot of phone calls. And you might even see some people get fired because they didn't take collateral. He told us he was good for it. So as the Tesla stock falls, as his net worth falls, uh, these banks are still going to come knocking. And if he cannot, I don't know how many shares he has, because keep in mind, he still has investments or investors, and I don't know the split. But they can take his shares of the X Social. All of these banks can come and call their loans due, and they will break up and they will reallocate all of his ex-social shares. They'll divvy it up to all of these banks outside of the investment of the investors, the ones that gave money. So let's say that he owns 50% of X Social. All of these banks are going to split that 50% shares, and now they own it instead of him. So he's still due to lose the X Social. If he put up, a percentage of shares from, I promise you, he didn't put up the whole thing, but he might have put a certain amount of shares, private shares in SpaceX. So these banks will also own a portion of that. So it's not like he's going to lose the SpaceX. It's not like he's going to lose the Boring Company, the Starlink, the the Neuralink. He's not going to lose the companies, but he might lose a portion of the shares. And that in itself is him losing his net worth because he doesn't have those shares anymore. So he's still going into bankruptcy personally. Tesla's not going into bankruptcy. None of his other companies are going into bankruptcy. He's just going to lose partial ownership. Does this make sense? He still might go through bankruptcy. And here's the final thing of how bankruptcy work. I used to do bankruptcies. He's going to have to file a Chapter 11, which means he has to pay anything that he's trying to put on that bankruptcy. They're going to put him on a payment plan to pay it back. And the bankruptcy courts are going to look at all his assets. Oh, you own this? Oh, you own this? They're going to make him sell. In order to pay back the loans, they're going to make him sell certain pieces of his assets. It may be a mansion. It may be some of his shares. He may lose even more of his shares as he goes through bankruptcy. He's going to lose some of it through the loans. But if he ever files the bankruptcy courts are going to make him sell more of his assets. And like I said, the richest man in the world is dangerously close of going bankrupt. But I want you guys to see how it's actually structured. It's not based on Tesla shares. It's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the main piece. Any questions on this? And it's the same thing. Everybody is just going on the internet. They see one person say something. No one goes and looks it up. It took me 5 minutes to find this. And this is not the original article. The original article was on Reuters. And the Reuters article was locked away. You know how Reuters locks some of their articles away. So this is locked away on Reuters. This originally came from Reuters. But I showed you guys how to find these articles when they're locked like that. But this is not originally from Al Jazeera. This article is originally from Reuters. And I can show it to you. Give me a second. All you got to do is put an explainer. Check this out. I can show you the original Reuters article. Explainer. See, there's the Reuters. but I teach you guys how to find these articles. Everybody else will try to search it and can't find it. But I show you the entire breakdown of how Elon Musk bought Twitter. And I'm proving it to you that it's not because of the Tesla shares. He tried to put up the Tesla shares and they wouldn't accept it. So he had to liquidate, put up cash, and then whatever he wasn't able to do, he brought in investors. He gave them a portion of the shares, and then the rest of it, he had to put up some other kind of loan, and that's the part we don't know. And here's the other part: we don't know if he paid off any of those loans. Right? We don't know when he got that boost in the stock market. We don't know if he took profits. We don't know if he took profits when Twitter went down. We don't know how much money Elon Musk has made personally. He might have paid some of those loans off. We don't know that part. But we do know that if those banks were to call in the loans for whatever reason, they're basically going to get a whole lot of shares. They're going to get shares in X Social. They're going to get shares of his other corporations, whatever loan he put up. And then even if he goes to bankruptcy, they're going to make him sell more of his shares. Now, here's something else. The bankruptcy may not always require the selling of the shares. He can give the shares away in recompense. So he doesn't have to liquidate the shares. He can give the shares as payment. So once again, even the bankruptcy courts will take some of the shares away, the value of what he owes. He is not in a good place right now. It's not. It shouldn't be. That's the right way we want to explain this. It shouldn't be fun to watch this happen. Shame on you if you're enjoying any of this, of what Elon Musk is going through. We are all horrible people. Shameful. We should not be enjoying someone else's demise. But there's just this one little bone, like my whole body is just, I'm completely guilty of how I feel. But there's this one bone that's enjoying it.
Yeah, you never wish no ill will on no one, but a
Right?
lot of times, if you bring it on yourself, man, what can I do to prevent that or stop that?
Completely. Do we have any questions on any of this, guys? I'm gonna be kind of showing you. I didn't want to do everything on the first day. I kind of want to go um, into these articles and into what's going to be announced. And kind of figure out. Give me a second. All right, there we go. I kind of want to go a little bit deeper, and like I said, maybe throughout the week, I'll give you a little bit of update on what NVIDIA is going to be talking about, what they're going to be announcing, what they're going to be offering. And I see about maybe 2 or 3 more of these events throughout 2025. Like I said, NVIDIA is the most valuable company on the stock market. So they're going to be the poster child of recovery. Everybody's going to rally behind NVIDIA. And that's the reason why I showed you that article. That's what gives NVIDIA the power that if you were to look to trade NVIDIA, you're in a perfect position. Everybody's going to be looking at what NVIDIA is offering and look to invest in NVIDIA. You're going to see NVIDIA skyrocket, even if it's for the moment. So if you guys are interested in trading NVIDIA or any of the index futures, you're going to see them rally this week. We just got to be very, very cautious and look to see if Trump makes it. And that's the reason why it's kind of dangerous. Because all Trump got to do is get on that mic and say one crazy thing, and it can completely undercut every single thing that NVIDIA is doing. This is the reason why I did not have the secret session. Because with everything happening in the markets right now, between the tariff wars and the correction, nothing's guaranteed. But there is a possibility that if we watch the markets closely, if you put in your protections, if you do everything I'm telling you, protection, power, precision, proficiency, if you do everything that I teach you, there may be a way that you can make money as these announcements are coming out this week. As I am researching this, I'm going to be posting dates on different announcements, different events. I'm going to be posting that in the student room for you guys. But here's what I want you to do. Before you go try to trade this, whether you're trading NVIDIA shares, whether you're trading the index futures or the ETFs, I need you to go check to see if Trump is saying anything that's going to undercut the market reaction to NVIDIA. If you don't see it, then proceed. Just proceed with a little bit of caution. This conference is going to set the tone for the rest of the year, right? What I'm looking for, let me tell you what I'm looking for, because I think it's a game changer when I saw that NVIDIA was transitioning over to consumer products. Game changer. When I saw that he's looking to compete with every single one of the Mac 7, getting into cloud technology for the end user, getting into devices with the laptops, expanding his infrastructure in Southeast Asia. Remember, he kind of got rid of Taiwan Semiconductor, so he had to replace them. And he did, and I even said, I gave the prediction. I got to start writing down all my predictions, because when I found out that they were having a problem, there was a rift between NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor. What did I say? What was my prediction? He is going to go to another country and set up another infrastructure. And that's exactly what he did. He went to Singapore. He went to Philippines. He went to I know he went to India, but there's one more. There was three. I know they're all Asian countries, but there are three Orient countries. I guess that's the only word I could use. There are three Orient countries in Southeast Asia and then India. And then he also has something in Israel that's coming out like around Mayish, April, Mayish. So, but he's building a literal economy in Southeast Asia to replace Taiwan. So I don't know how much of this he's going to announce at this conference. But like I said, everything that he announces is just going to drive NVIDIA. And even though we may not see, that's the beautiful part about the value, even if we don't see it applied because of the tariffs, because of the correction, we know that after everything settles down and that value finally gets applied to the markets, NVIDIA is going to take off and the stock market is going to take off. And then, like I said, if NVIDIA is the strongest corporation and they are the infrastructure of every other corporation, including the rest of the Mag 7, as NVIDIA goes up, the Mag 7 goes up. As the Mag 7 goes up, the rest of the market leaders go up, and then the rest of the markets. Causal sequence. But we may not see it for another 6 months because we got to get over the shock waves of the tariffs. And we're going to see that probably over the next two economic sessions. So for the next 2 months, and then the quarterly earnings coming out in Q2. Because everybody's giving horrible predictions. Everyone's downsizing their predictions for their Q2. But after all of that is over, 2 months of bad economic data, unemployment's up, inflation's up, consumer spending's down, housing's down. We're going to go through about 2 months of that. And then the final Q2 reports of bad Q2 revenue, then you'll see the recovery. And I did say that it could take about 3 months for the correction to kind of come on the other side. And then once that is over, the value of all these corporations are going to reapply, and you're going to see the market climb back up. And I'm going to give another prediction. Quote me on it. Every single one of the 3 Magnificent 7 is going to hit an all-time high before 2025 is over. Let me say it again. If Trump calms down, takes a seat, stops manipulating the markets, you will see all 3 of the index futures hit a new 52-week high before the year is over. We just got to get that man calmed down. I'm hoping that all they wanted was the correction. And you do notice it's been pretty quiet. This is why I'm hoping that all they wanted was the correction. Because isn't it kind of eerily quiet? He's not making any new announcements. He's not making any new claims. Quiet ever since the correction came out.
Very
and I said,
eerie.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. Very eerily quiet. I mean, I
Eerily
understand
quiet.
cocooning, but man, it feels like we got lost in space somewhere.
Yep. That you couldn't keep that man off the TV. Oh, every single day, a new announcement on tariff this and tariff that and tariff this. As soon as that correction hit, quiet. And that's why I said I think that that was the original plan. Everybody was overshooting for the crash. Everybody's overshooting for the recession. That was not the plan. They knew the markets was due for a correction. I predicted the correction end of last year. I did my calculations. I knew that we were due for one in the first 3 months. We got it in the first 3 months. I just didn't know they were going to force it. So now we just got to get through the 3 months of recovery. If you guys remember in the Fibonacci webinar, I gave you the amount of days. I'm not going to give that away now. You can go back to your notes. But remember, I gave you this amount of days that it usually takes for the markets to recover. All we got to do is get through that. And you're going to see, because here's the thing, guys. The reason why I say that you're going to get 52-week highs is because right now, the value is not being applied. Everybody's sold off because of all the previous value. Everybody liquidated to get all their profits over the last 2 or 3 years. So now we have to go back to the original and legitimate value. Inevitable. None of the corporations lost their value. Everybody just cashed in on their shares. And all people are going to do is put their positions back in and ride it back up to the original value. And that's where you guys can do the same. We can all do the same. That's the reason why I say we're going to get 52-week highs on all three of the markets in the same year as the crash. I'm sorry, in the same year as the correction. Because there's enough value to warrant it. And then we have the fifth industrial revolution where new value is being applied. I predicted that 2025 was going to be the strongest bull market. I may not be wrong. Trump came in and kind of threw in a wrench. But we still are on task and on pace for it still to be a very bullish and successful and profitable year. Let's get over this hump. Let's get that man to sit down somewhere and let the markets cook. Let the markets do what it does. Any questions, guys? I'm going to go ahead and get off of TikTok now, guys. I thank you, everybody, for showing up. I'm going to do the same thing for YouTube. Thank you, Eric and Sylvester, for showing up, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow around 7:45.